Okay, I'd like to thank Yehuda for inviting me over once again to give shiur in the wonderful Bet Knesset, the Sephardic Bet Knesset of Sephardic Congregation of Hewlett. Baruch Hashem, we almost have no space. There's a few chairs over there. Soon you're going to need a bigger shul, right? Yes. The Chen Yirbu, as we say, yes?
Rabbi, may I ask that tonight's Diva Torah
Please.
is dedicated a woman who's going to surgery in 3 hours for a very delicate delivery,
Oh.
Miriam Ruchama, bat
Okay.
Lea Bracha.
So may Miriam Ruchama bat
Lea Bracha.
Lea Bracha El Narafan Allah, El Narafan Allah, El Narafan Allah. May she have an easy delivery, and may the child that is born, Be'ezrat Hashem, be healthy and be a credit for Klal Yisrael, and may the child grow to Chuppah Torah Mitzvot and Ma'asim Tovim. Also for Refuah Shlema? Okay, Refuah Shlema also for Shevach ben Hatun Hana El Narafan Alo, El Narafan Alo, El Narafan Alo.
Yaakov ben Margalit.
וגם יעקב בן מרגלית. אל נרפן עלו, אל נרפן עלו, אל נרפן עלו. וגם שרונה בת לאה לובה. אל נרפן עלה, אל נרפן עלה, אל נרפן עלה. וגם זלדה בת רחל. וגם דבורה בת מירב. אל נרפן עליהן, אל נרפן עליהן, אל נרפן עליהן. I can't hear. וגם ליזה בת מזל. וגם תווית יהודה בן יפה. אל נרפן עליהם, אל נרפן עליהם, אל נרפן עליהם. וגם מפרת זלפו בת מפרת בת זלפה. אל נרפן עלה, אל נרפן עלה, אל נרפן עלה. להבדיל בין החיים למתים. לעילוי נשמת אמנון בן חוסני. רוח אדוני תנחנו בגן עדן. For לעילוי נשמת זהבה בת טובה, וגם נפש רומא רחמים בן פרידה. Supposed to men and women separately. וגם אילנה בת נעימה. לעילוי נשמת משה בן שמואל. רוח אדוני תנחם בגן עדן. Okay. This is a sick person?
Yes.
All right, you got to get a list next time. Let's get them all through. Refuah Shlema for Ilana Bat Naima. El Narafan Allah, El Narafan Allah, El Narafan Allah. Okay, so we're here to discuss Parashat Ki Tisa. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyavro. And Parashat Ki Tisa, what is the language of Tisa? Has a couple of meanings. One meaning is to count. Yes? How do we count? A person stands up, it is counted. So Tisa is from the Lashon of to rise up. If you think about it, if the rabbis had to pick a name for this parasha, why would they call it Ki Tisa? If anything, the parasha should be called Ki Tered. If we think about the topic of discussion of the majority of this parasha, it of course has to do with Het HaEgel, which was probably the second worst thing that the Jewish people did in the Midbar, right behind the Meraglim. Why would the parasha be called Ki Tisa, which means to lift up? So hopefully by the end of tonight, maybe we'll have an understanding as to where Teshuva fits in the life of a Jew, and how, despite the fact that we all make mistakes, and tzaddik ba'olam asher ya'aseh tov v'lo yacheta, and the Gemara, if you think about it, Masechet, if I'm not mistaken, Masechet Berachot, remember, the Gemara is around 800, 4,000 about, yes? In 4,000 years, when the Gemara does an accounting, there are 4 people that have no avonot. Binyamin ben Yaakov, there was Yishai, Amram, and Kilav ben David. That means in 4,000 years, there were 4 people, it says, they died from Et Yosha Nahash. Which means the only reason they died was because of the sin of Adam HaRishon. Which means if it was just for them alone, they would have lived forever. Therefore, that means that out of the 4,000 years worth of people, okay, let's not forget about the first 2,000. There weren't a lot of good people then, except for the maybe few here and there. But from Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yosef, the Shvatim, Moshe, all these people, we have 4 people that have no avonot. So we understand that making mistakes is part and parcel of what it means to be alive, what it means to be in the world. Of course, we strive for perfection. It's like, what do you call that, a hyperbole? The asymptote, it never makes it to the line. It sort of gets closer and closer, but never makes it to the line. So we need to understand very clearly that Teshuva is the mitzvat aseh from the Torah. This is a trick question. Raise your hand if you're not a Baal Teshuva. Can't be. If Teshuva is mitzvat aseh from the Torah, how can a person not be a Baal Teshuva, even if he's FFB? Even if he's from birth? What? On Yom Kippurim you don't fast? Right? So understand that Teshuva is mitzvat aseh. We all have a part in the Teshuva. And even for the 4 Jews that had no avonot, they're responsible. Amram was the leader of the Jewish people. Yishai was a leader of the Jewish people. Binyamin is one of the sons of Yaakov. So even if you yourself have no avonot, which we said there's only 4 in 4,000 years, and I can't imagine in the past 1,779 years that we got more than 4. If anything, we got less than 4. Because the Gemara says, if you think that the Rishonim are Malachim, are angels, then you can consider yourself a human being. If you consider the Rishonim to be human being, then you consider yourself to be a animal, a donkey, an animal. So we need to understand that as we go further away from Sinai, there's more trouble, there's not less trouble. So the parashat called Titisa, because in fact, if you also look at the parasha, you see something else. What happens to Moshe Rabbeinu's relationship with God? Initially, after the Jewish people make the sin, the Torah says, Lech red ki shichet amecha. Which means we understand from here Moshe Rabbeinu's place on Har Sinai. He's the shaliach of the Jewish people. It's like having a shaliach tzibur, but there's no tzibur. Then there's no shaliach tzibur. In order for Moshe Rabbeinu to be on Har Sinai, there has to be Bnei Yisrael. When Bnei Yisrael, or certain members of Bnei Yisrael, made Chet HaEgel, Moshe Rabbeinu was told, Lech red, go down, ki shichet amecha, because your nation is messing up. You don't belong up here. The only reason you're here is because they're there. If they're falling, you gotta leave. How does Moshe Rabbeinu respond to this? Does he say, oh God, come on, give me a break. I didn't do anything. I'm innocent. Does he say, Ha'isha asher natata imadi, the woman that you gave me, she caused it to happen? Not exactly. Moshe Rabbeinu goes down. And we see something unbelievable. Moshe Rabbeinu did not hear Lashon Hara, even if it comes from Hashem. Because when did Moshe Rabbeinu throw the tablets down? Only when he with his own eyes saw what was going on. Which means he did not rely on what Hashem told him, even though Hashem is a very, very reliable source. We don't have to worry about that. But he needed to see it for himself. And when he saw it for himself, vayashlech, the luchot, either they fell down or they threw them down, different kinds of opinions. The beginning of the parasha starts off with Mahatzit HaShekel. Mahatzit HaShekel, I gave a speech a couple of weeks ago. That's like shul dues. I understand that shul dues is more than Mahatzit HaShekel. Okay, that's because we live in the 5 towns. We pay more for taxes, we got to pay more for Mahatzit HaShekel than for shul dues. And regarding shul dues, everybody has to be paying the same amount. Unless there's financial need and then there's exceptions. I'm not going to get into shul politics. But for the most part, membership is regardless of means you want to be a member of the Bet Knesset, you have to share in the responsibilities, and hopefully the dues are not so high that it precludes people from paying, because that's really not the Sephardic way. The Sephardic way is dues is very, very low. Where does Sephardic Bet Knesset get the money? Kol ish asher yidavenu libo. We're supposed to get the money from where? From Nedava. When a person gets Aliyat Sefer Torah, 500 for the shul, 500 for the rabbi, 500 for the mikveh. Just go to any of the shuls in Borough, in on Ocean Parkway, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. This is the Sephardic way, which means dues is low, Mahazita shekel. Okay, it's not 50, not Mahazita shekel. It's a little bit more than that. But then, Kol Isha Sheyi Devenu Libo. And I find in my experience that when people rely on the congregation to give them what they need, En Sibur Ani, there may be some people in the congregation that are poor, but as a whole, the congregation is not Ani. And that's the concept of the Terumah, which we read about 2 weeks ago. But anyway, what is Mahasita Shekel for? The Natanu Ish Kofer Nafsho. What is Kofer Nafsho? Basically, kapara. A kapara for the nefesh. Which means we see, as it says in Masechet Megillah, that Haman Harasha took money, or gave money to Ahashverosh, blood money for the Jewish people. And the Gemara says, what a fool. He doesn't realize that way beforehand, the Jewish people already gave Mahasita Shekel, Kofer Nafsho. So the shekalim that we give outweigh the shekalim that Haman gives. So you see the concept of Mahasita Shekel is Kofer Nafsho. This is a remez to what's going on in the whole parasha. The word is Vinatanu. What is Vinatanu? That word in English would be called a palindrome. A palindrome is a word that can be read both ways. Why is that important? We discussed that a couple of weeks ago. When you give, you get. A person gets tzedakah, he receives a mitzvah, which is a lot bigger than the tzedakah that he gave. Just a little chazarah from 2 weeks ago. Chet HaEgel was a tremendous avon. There's a lot of questions we can ask on Chet HaEgel. The first question we have to ask is, why is it called Chet HaEgel? There are 3 levels of sin. One is Het, one is Avon, and one is Pesha. What's the difference between the 3? Het is something a person does bishgaga, missing information, missing knowledge. Now, ignorance, of course, is no excuse for violation of the law. Almost all the korbanot that are brought in the Bet HaMikdash that are called korban hatat are brought for shigaga. There really is no korban for purposeful sin. And if a person violates the Shabbat bishgaga, he has to bring a korban, a whole animal. That's not cheap, that's expensive. So just because a person did something bishgaga doesn't mean he gets off easy. Why? Then there's avon. Avon is when you do something because you're overcome by the Yetzer Hara. God understands a little bit that we are basar vadam, and the Yetzer Hara is made out of, we are flesh and blood, and the Yetzer Hara is made out of esh, fire. Anyone who involves himself in barbecuing knows which wins, the meat or the fire. The fire wins. So it's already set up in a situation where we're almost set up to fail. So avon is when that type of sin is when a person is overcome by the Yetzer Hara, he can't resist the temptation, and the person fails. The worst type of sin is called pesha. Pesha is really criminal, if you will. And that basically means I have no Yetzer Hara for the sin. I have no desire for the sin. The only reason I'm doing it is because I'm upset with God, so I want to show Him. It's a hard one to understand. I'm not sure how you're going to show God because you sin that's going to improve your situation. The sin of the golden calf, it should at least be avon. Hopefully it wasn't pesha. How is it chet? Where is the shgaga? In the sin of het ha'egel. So, we had the Aseret HaDibrot. That was before het ha'egel, yes? And the Aseret HaDibrot, it says, you shall not have other gods before me. First of all, I am the Lord your God. And then you shall not have other gods before you. Most of the Jewish people, maybe with the exception of the Erev Rav, the mixed multitudes that came out with the Jewish people that really did not come out L'Shem Shamayim, they didn't worship the Egel. Well, what they were looking for is something called shituf. They were looking for partnership. They were looking for, as it says, Kizeh ha'ish Moshe. This person, Moshe, that was here is not here anymore. So Moshe acted kavyachol as an intermediary between the Jewish people and God. When they miscalculated and thought Moshe Rabbeinu was a Yeki, he wasn't. He was a Sfaradi. That's why he was late. Just kidding. He was on time. They miscalculated. They said, we need someone else to represent us. And of course, they selected the Egel as a representation. How is this a chet? Because nowhere had it been commanded that one could not have representation. We see at the end of the parasha, it says, Elohei masecha lo ta'asu lachem. What does the word masecha mean? So if you look at Rabbi ArtScroll usually translate as molten. Masecha has another meaning. What is masach? Screen. Or intermediary. So afterwards, after they made the het ha'egel, this is when God comes and says, okay, boys, this is not allowed for Jewish people. There's no intermediary. Goyim, there's a machloket rishonim where they're allowed to have shituf. Christianity is not shituf. Christianity is avodah zarah. Because they think the middle is idol worship. Because they think the middle is God. Shituf, we don't think the middle is God. We think the middle is going to help us to get to God. This for a Jew is considered to be avodah zarah, idol worship. But it had not yet been commanded. And that's why it's referred to as het ha'egel. And that's why Moshe Rabbeinu, when he comes down to the Jewish people, what does he say? Atem hatatem hata'a gedolah. He used the language of chet to show that there was some missing knowledge that the Jewish people had. They were not aware that this type of relationship with God is not allowed. And why is this type of relationship not allowed?
I'm a jealous God.
Okay, but that says if there are other gods. That's what it says. El Kana is referred to Elohim Acherim, right? Other gods. This is not another god. This is an intermediary. What were you saying?
Because it's not singular.
Okay, good. That from a philosophical point of view, that's a problem. But there are angels. Angels are sort of, that's how the Avodah started in the first place. It says in the Rambam, in the generation of Enosh, that, and Enosh was one of the people who made the mistake, that they said, oh my God, God is so high, and we are so low. We need somebody to help us to bridge the gap. And this is how all the Avodah Zarah idol worship started. From the door of Enosh, which is the third generation after Adam HaRishon. A Jew is not allowed to have shituf for another reason. Partnership, or not partnership, really intermediary. Because our relationship with God is direct. We do not have a soft relationship. We have a direct relationship. And how can you prove this to me? How can I prove this to you?
Unlike Christianity, where you want your sins forgiven, you have to go to an intermediary.
Good.
Right? We go directly to Hashem.
Okay, what about Islam? They don't have an intermediary. Do they have a direct relationship with God?
No, they believe that the only way to him is through his prophet.
Okay, good. But again, the prophet is not God, so it's really shituf, and that's why there's a question of whether Islam is avodah zarah or not, is idol worship or not. But there's another way you can prove it based on the prayer that we say every single day, 3 times a day. Think about this. Oh! Let's say I'm not going to get into the politics here. Let's just make believe the president is whoever he is, whether you like him or don't like him, okay? If you have an appointment with the president, let's take Jim Acosta, for example. Obviously, there's a relationship issue between the two of those people, yes? Deserved, not deserved, let's leave that alone for now. Even when Jim Acosta is referring to the president, how does he refer to him? Mr. President, may I ask you a question? He may be showing him disrespect. Trump may say, I'm not going to talk to you. You're fake news. Mr. President, I have a question for you. Why? Because the president, as the president of the country, has to be addressed in the third person. That is the proper way to address what arguably could be considered, I'm not saying Trump specifically, the king of the country. We are speaking to the king of all kings, the master of the universe. And we as Jews, when we pray, what do? We say, Baruch Atah, you. That's a very unique relationship. And that, by the way, is for men and women, non-discriminatory, egalitarian. For men and women, we interact directly with God. One does not go to the rabbi to pray instead of you. That doesn't mean that a person shouldn't go to a tzaddik and ask them to pray on your behalf. But that does not absolve you from praying yourself. So we have a direct connection with God. And that's why the Het HaEgel was a big mistake. There was this understanding, Vaya'aminu beHashem uv Moshe avdo, that there was this concept that they believed in God and in Moses, which one can look at that as they believed in God, and then Moses is someplace in between. Listen, Moses is a special guy. 40 days and 40 nights. Doesn't eat bread, doesn't drink water. This is not human. This is very unique. So I'm not saying they worshiped Moshe Rabbeinu, chas v'shalom. No, they did not. But they looked at Moses to be that intermediary. What caused that mistake is because they weren't prepared properly to come out of the land of Egypt. Because they were in the land of Egypt. And why were they in the land of Egypt? Because they sold their brother Yosef to the land of Egypt. Because they went to Egypt, the worst place in the world, they fell spiritually in a very big way. So when they were taken out, they were not exactly of the great spiritual caliber that they should have been. Obviously, they had to get some work done over the next 40 days until they get to, or 49 days, until they get to Har Sinai, Mount Sinai. But they didn't get there enough. And that's why, after they had heard the first two commandments, they died. And then they said, you speak to us, Moshe. We can't hear it directly from God. That was very unfortunate. Because God wanted to have a relationship with us directly. That we speak to him directly and he speaks to us directly. Because we weren't spiritually prepared, what happened? We died after the first commandment we heard, and we died after the second command we heard we had to be resurrected. And then they said, Moshe Rabbeinu, you speak to us. And that's how the rest of the Torah was given. Through Moshe Rabbeinu. Torah tzivalanu. Moshe. Morasha Kilat Yaakov. Very good. It should have been direct. What's going to happen in the time of the Mashiach? Even when the Mashiach is here, Umale'ah ha'aretz de'at Hashem. Why the word de'ah? What does de'ah denote? Knowledge. Intimate knowledge. Vayeda Adam et Chava ishto. That's the nice way of the Torah saying that man, Adam, had relations with his wife. It's da'at, it's biblical knowledge. It's an intimate knowledge. This is the relationship that we also all have to be striving for with Hashem. How do we get a relationship like that? Isn't that a great thing? How does one get a relationship like that? Everyone who's married should know the answer to this question in very quickly.
It's not jewelry.
What's that?
It's not jewelry.
Not jewelry. No, God doesn't take jewelry. It doesn't take shochad. And you know what? The jewelry only works if there's things that follow it. The jewelry alone might get you, a little dispensation for about, an hour or so.
Well, first it's chuppah v'kedushin, Har Sinai.
Very nice. Okay. But how does one continue and maintain the relationship with their spouse? Spouse mitzvot ma'asim tovim?
Yes, dear.
Communication. If there's no communication, there's a relationship breakdown. So you can imagine when a husband and wife are not getting along with each other, and so they're texting each other, which is a really bad idea, because text messages are very easily misunderstood. You're better off leaving a message because the person can hear your voice and understand how you're saying what you're saying. But it's a form of communication. But when there's no communication, that's basically a relationship right now potentially is at a standstill. And that's why the goal should be as quickly as possible to be able to resume communication and to have regular communication and important communication, sharing life, sharing feelings, sharing things that are going on in the day. No difference between that and the relationship with God. We want to be in a state of constant communication with God. This is how we have a close relationship with God. And that's why tefillah is something that is so important. Prayer is something so important. As the Gemara teaches us, it stands birumo shel olam. It stands at the heights of the world. But this is one of the things that people show disrespect to, because they don't realize the power of prayer. And that doesn't necessarily mean always that when you ask for something, you're going to get it. Because the goal of prayer, really, whether you get what you ask for or not, is not the goal. The goal of prayer is to get close to God. And when you're talking to God, you get close to God. And that's what David HaMelech says, Va'ani tefillah, I am prayer. Meaning what? It should be that a person should pray all day. Also, the ma'asim of a person. If your wife asks you on the way home to pick up a half a gallon of milk, and you forget,
don't come home.
If you realize before you walk in the door, it's probably better to turn around, go get it, and come back. And of course, we could do it the other way as well, yes? So there's a matter of helping each other, or more. One person has will, and the other person fulfills that person's desire. The key of a relationship is when one person cancels their desires for the desires of their spouse. That's the same thing regarding God. God asks us to do Torah, mitzvot, ma'asim tovim. I can smoke on Shabbat if I want. Nothing's going to stop me. Lightning bolt's not going to hit me in the head, especially if it's sunny outside. Why am I not going to do that? Because I appreciate all the things that God gives me. I really didn't do very much to earn it. So what is he asking me to do? Why wouldn't I do it? This is how we have a relationship with God, a close relationship. And this was the level that Bnei Israel had, the children of Israel had in the Midbar. Always like to, sometimes we look at the Torah, we read all the parashot of the Torah, and we say, oh my God, how could they worship the Egel? How could they do the sin of the spies? How could they complain about the meat? What's wrong with these people? Let me picture it for you for a second, okay? Everybody here goes to work tomorrow, yes, hopefully? We have bills to pay, we have things to take care of. If you're not going to work, somehow you're doing something to help out. Hopefully no one's sitting around like a batlan. That's not a good situation for anybody. Someone who doesn't do anything. You have to always want a person has to always be doing something. Imagine that you go to work tomorrow, and you know that to meet your expenses of the day, you need $300. Obviously, you don't live in the 5 towns. As soon as you make $300, you go into your car and you come home. Now that's very, very easy if you got $100,000 in the bank. But every single time you put money in the bank, it gets rotten. This is how the Jewish people lived in the Midbar, in the desert. They only had enough food for one day. Exactly the amount of food for one day. If they took more than they needed, what happened? It became worms and it stunk, and everybody knew you took more than you deserved. Except on Shabbat, they got a double portion. That's the lechem mishneh. That's why we take 2 loaves of bread. One of the reasons we take 2 loaves of bread on Shabbat. This is how the Jewish people live with God. That level of emunah, I would venture to say, I can't say I have that. How many people have that level where they close the shop as soon as they finish earning the money that they need for that day? Forget about the electric bill. Forget about the taxes. All that. What I only need for today. Tomorrow, I'll worry about tomorrow. This is how the Jewish people lived in the Midbar in the desert. These are the people that made Chet HaEgel. Not all of them. Some of them. Why? How could it be 40 days before they're standing on the Mount Sinai, they heard the word of God directly, so they died twice. How can it be that 40 days later they're flirting with the best man under the chuppah? Which is exactly how the Talmud looks at this. How could that happen? So I'm going to read you a Gemara that's very interesting. It's in Masechet Avodah Zarah. On Daf Daled Amud Bet, page 4b. If you have an art scroll, it's 4b4. It says over here, a bunch of statements by Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi was a very special individual. He was friends with the Malach HaMavet. The angel of death. Sorry about that. If anything I say you don't understand, please raise your hand, because I want everybody to be clear about everything. I'm sorry. I will try to say everything in English as much as possible. But Malach HaMavet, the Mulach HaMovet, is the angel of death. Yes? Okay. It says like this. The Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, and Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi said, Lo asu Yisrael et ha'egel. The Jewish people didn't do the golden calf. Ela liten pitchon pele v'alei Teshuva. The Gemara is giving the reason why the Jewish people did the Chet HaEgel. Why did they do the Chet HaEgel? So that there is the option to teach the concept of when a congregation makes a mistake, that it can be fixed. Shene Emar, as it says, Lahem liyira oti kol hayamim. Who can assure that this heart should remain theirs to fear me and observe all of my commandments all of the days? Almost saying, the next statement of the Talmud is going to clarify the first one, that the Chet HaEgel, the sin of the golden calf, was almost inevitable. If it was important to teach the lesson of public repentance, and this is how God chose to teach the lesson of public repentance, so what does that mean? That means that they had to do the Chet HaEgel, the sin of the golden calf. And then the Gemara clarifies a little bit more what it's talking about. The Hainu, the Amar Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And therefore, Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Lo David Ra'ui Lo'oto Ma'aseh. King David was not worthy for that particular deed. What deed are we talking about? Thank you. Batsheva. V'lo Yisrael Re'uyin Le'oto Ma'aseh. And the Jewish people were not worthy for that particular sin. Which one? The golden calf. Meaning that really they shouldn't have done the sin at all. David should have done the sin, and the Jewish people should. They weren't ra'ui. They weren't worthy for this type of sin. How does he prove this? Lo David ra'ui lo tamaseh. King David was not suited to perform this sin with the deed with Bathsheba. Dichtiv, because it's written, V'libi chalal b'kirbi. My heart, or specifically The Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination in me, is dead. If the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination in David is dead, then he should not be sinning with Bathsheba. Then it continues, V'lo Yisrael re'uin lo tomaseh, and the Jewish people were not worthy for that particular deed, talking about the sin of the golden calf. Dichtiv, mi yiten dahaya levavam zeh lahem leyirah oti kol hayamim. Who can assure that this heart, should remain theirs to fear me all of the days? So we see the Gemara is setting up these two sins. One of them was the sin of the golden calf, which was a public sin. And the other one was the sin of David, which was a private sin, or private transgression. So now the Gemara says, Ela lama asu. Why did they do this? If they were not ra'ui, if they weren't worthy for this sin, then how did it happen? Lomar lecha, to teach you. She'im chata yachid. If an individual sins, omrimro, maybe he's going to get all depressed. He's thinking, oh my God, I made a terrible sin. That's it, I'm done. Time to check out. There's no hope for me. Kalach etzel yachid. Go and look at another single individual that did something he shouldn't have done. And of course, David was forgiven. When was David forgiven, by the way?
After he did Teshuva.
How long did it take him to do Teshuva?
A second.
A second. The prophet comes in, tells him a story of a man who slaughtered the only goat that belonged to his host. And David says, someone who did this is Ben Mavet. He deserves to die. And the prophet said, Your Majesty, that's you. The prophet turns around to leave. David prays immediately. God comes to the prophet before he leaves the room and says, he's forgiven already. Which means we see Teshuva is extremely powerful. So powerful that as long as the person is truly serious, not trying to work over God, because Pharaoh tried to work over God, that didn't work out so good for him. But if you're sincere, Teshuva can be heref ayin, instantaneously. It's like the Geulah, like the redemption. That can happen immediately. So we see here David sinned. Why? To teach a lesson to all the Jewish people for all of history, that if you fail, don't give up. Sheva yipol tzadik v'kam. The difference between a righteous person and an evil person, they both fall. The righteous person gets up. The evil person doesn't get up, continues to fall, or falls further. That's the difference. Then the Gemara continues. Vim chatu sibur. That might be working well, fine, if one Jew sinned. What if the entire congregation sinned? Obviously, that's more significant. We remember back when that a whole world sinned, and what did God do? That's it. Destroy the world. That's it. Get rid of these people. I'll take one guy, make a great nation out of him, and the rest of you finished. This comes to teach us what? Even if the tzibur sins, the congregation sins, go and see what happened with the people of Chet Egel. And Hashem forgave them. Therefore, the tzibur can be forgiven as well. The Gemara says in another place that when a person is being tempted to do something they're not supposed to do, you are obligated to exert maximal effort to avoid falling into that sin. Even if you exert maximal effort to not sin, you cannot win unless God helps you. Why did David sin here? Because despite his 100% effort not to sin, God didn't help him. Why didn't God help him? Because in this case, David asked to be tested, and that was a big mistake. But that's a separate issue. Regarding the Jewish people by Chet HaEgel, they didn't just fall for this. They tried their best not to sin. But because God wanted to illustrate a lesson for all of history, he kavyachol removed his part, which means they had to say they were going to sin anyway. Like we said, it was almost inevitable. Why is that important? People ask a question. I don't see God. Where is he? Very common question. Sometimes people who are not yet there will say, you know what? If you prove to me that God exists, I'll follow the Torah. Ever hear that before? That doesn't work. Why doesn't that work? They made Chet HaEgel, yes? They saw God. And then 40 days later, they sinned. There's a difference in the United States between earned income and unearned income. Generally, unearned income is taxed at a higher level, if I'm correct about that. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. It's a long time since I studied taxes. A person has to exert effort. The reward goes according to the effort. And Hashem will help you after you exert your effort. When you are successful, let's say you're tempted. You're tempted to do something you shouldn't do. And you resist the temptation, you can be sure that God helped you. Because if God didn't help you, what would have happened? You would have fallen. So we see, despite the sin of Chet HaEgel, this is an opportunity to rise up. And the concept is taught in the Talmud in another way. B'makom sheba'alei teshuva omdim en tzadikim yecholim la'amod. In a place where penitent individuals are standing, righteous people cannot stand. Many different understandings of that. But we understand from that a person who's a penitent, a person who's a Baal Teshuva, a repentant individual, it's not that you return back to the level you were before you sinned. You return to a higher level than you were before you sinned. Now that doesn't mean this fact that a person should sin so they could rise up. That's not a good idea. That's not a good idea. But with the understanding that we're human beings and we make mistakes, one shouldn't get depressed. One shouldn't get upset. There is the ability to rise up again, and if you put in the effort, you rise up higher than you did before. This is what the parasha of Ki Tisa teaches us. Because we see here that Moshe Rabbeinu, after he's told to go down, he asks God a couple of questions. Har'eni nat kevodecha, show me your glory. Har'eni nat derachecha, show me your ways. And he was given additional heights of prophecy after they sinned. So we see that the sin of the golden calf happened to teach us the concept of public repentance. How did Moshe Rabbeinu achieve forgiveness for the Jewish people? What tools did he use? One might say by throwing down the stones, the tablets. That was what he did to achieve forgiveness. The Talmud even says, it says, Asher shibarta, that you broke. Who else broke them? Yeyasher kochacha sheshibarta. God says, after Moshe Rabbeinu broke the tablets, at this point God was an Ashkenazi, not a Sfaradi. If he was a Sfaradi, he would have said, Hazaku Baruch. Instead he says, Yeyasher kochacha sheshibarta.
Yeah, but he didn't say shkoyach.
No, they shouldn't say that either. Why would God tell Moshe, Yeyasher kochacha? Broke the tablets. Imagine, God forbid, somebody does something terrible, or the congregation, not this congregation, a different congregation, did something terrible. And the rabbi, there's so much talking in the middle of the Chazarah, and he tried to stop them 3 or 4 times, and the talking doesn't stop. So what does he do? He goes into the Aron, he takes out Sefer Torah, and he throws it on the ground. That rabbi would probably be unemployed in every shul permanently, and rightfully so. How does Moshe Rabbeinu take the Luchot? What did he do to write the Luchot? The tablets? Nothing. They were carved out of the mountain by God. They were written by God. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't have to lift a finger to make the first Luchot. What right did he have to break them? And yet he broke them. And God says, good job. I would have done the same thing myself. Why is that? Why did Moshe Rabbeinu break the tablets?
Wasn't given to them yet.
What?
It was not given to the Israel yet.
Okay, but they heard it, for heaven's sake. They heard it from God's mouth. Okay, they didn't have the written version yet, but they heard it directly, and it was written into their hearts. Certainly the first 2 were written into their hearts. That's why a Jew, even in terrible situations, or most of the time in a terrible situation, even if they're not religious, even if they're far away, will sometimes die on Kiddush Hashem. Why? Because in their heart is written, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am the Lord your God, and you shall not have no other God, any other gods before me. How many Jews died on Kiddush Hashem, sanctifying the name of God, in Christian Europe and in the Muslim countries? How many? Because that's written inside. Halavai, we would also had Shabbat written. If Shabbat was written, Mashiach would have been here already. Why did he break the tablets?
He didn't think they deserved them?
He took it upon himself. If God would have said, Moses, they don't deserve the tablets, thou shalt break them. Yes, sir. How could he take that initiative? It's not even his. It doesn't say that he was angry. Show me in the verse, if you have a Chumash in front of you, show me in the verse where it says that he was angry. Let's see. Let's see.
When the
You're right. Vayicharaf Moshe. Very good. Hazak. Very nice. So you're saying he got angry? Yes. Okay.
Didn't the Luchot become heavy and fell?
Vayashlech means
he threw them down.
threw them down. There's an opinion that says that the letters went away, and then all he had was stones because the letters were lifting it up like the soul lifts a person's body. Person's heavy when they die. I'm not sure that's correct, but they feel heavier, that's for sure. Okay, so the letters left and the Luchot fell. So it says, Vayichar Afash Moshe, he became angry, yes? Only one problem. When a person becomes angry, how is he looked at? Ke'ilu ein lo Eloah. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, you know what? They worshipped Avodah Zarah. Let me get angry so it could look like I worship Avodah Zarah as well. Maybe if you hear... Yes, can we hear?
No, I wanted to try and give a possibility.
Go ahead.
So when the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed and people were crying over it, there was a response, Baruch Hashem, that God took out his anger on stone and wood rather than on flesh and blood in the Jewish people.
Very good.
It's possible that Moshe Rabbeinu understood that in this situation, something had to go. There had to be some kapara. Something had to be destroyed. And better the luchot be destroyed, and that will appease Hashem somewhat, than Hashem taking his wrath out on the people.
Just a little uncomfortable with that, because that's like saying that, you know what, the rabbis in the time of the first temple, when they saw the people weren't behaving, should have lit it on fire.
No, but it's a fact that it does say, thankfully, that Hashem took his wrath out on
God can do that.
Right.
Moshe to do that? If God would have destroyed the Luchot, no questions asked. Yes? Moshe destroyed the Luchot.
Maybe he thought that the people don't deserve it.
That's what somebody said. But, yes?
Just Moshe reacted to what he saw.
So anger. The thing was angry.
Well, regardless of his anger, the people were not ready to receive it, and it was just too easy at that point. And easy come, easy go. You know, here it is. God, I didn't do anything. God gave it to me. It's yours. And they said, well,
let me give you a hint.
We need more than that, you know. And now they had to earn it the second
Moshe
time
was the
around.
leader.
It has to do with what you've been saying about Teshuva, right? The world was now a different place. The world before the Chet Egel, the sin of the golden calf, deserved luchot that were carved by God, where the letters were magical.
No
right?
work.
Now in the world post, where you have a congregational atonement, right? The luchot had to be written by man. It was a different reality. And Hashem commended Moses for the fact that he understood that those
So you're saying that Moshe
luchot,
Rabbeinu had the insight to know that these first luchot had to go because he was going to be told in the future he's going to write another set. Maybe. It's a prophet. It's possible. Let me give you another idea, which I think is consistent with what we're going to say after that. We said Har Sinai represented the chuppah. Yes?
The wedding.
The wedding. Thank you.
Breaking of the glass.
No. Nice. No. The luchot represented the ketubah. What was the proof that God and the Jewish people were married to each other? The luchot. What does Moshe Rabbeinu do? He breaks the luchot. Okay, you can't punish them now. Prove to me that they signed on the dotted line. They didn't have videotapes, couldn't go back where they said, Na'aseh v'nishma, we will listen and then we will do. The proof was the luchot. The luchot represented the physical manifestation of the connection of the Jewish people and God together as a husband and wife. Moshe Rabbeinu destroyed the luchot to say, no. Now we start again. Big risk. Why big risk? Because God could say, oh, okay. You want to play that way? Let me show you how it's done. But God didn't say that. Why didn't he say that? Because Moshe Rabbeinu was willing to sacrifice himself based on the luchot. Moshe Rabbeinu maybe was saying, you know what? I'm going to break the luchot. I'm going to get angry now. Punish me. Don't punish them. My failure in leadership caused this to happen. I am responsible. I am accountable. Punish me. And we see later on, in Devarim it says, God says, Hedef mimeni ve'ashmidem. Hold me back and I will destroy them. What does Moshe Rabbeinu say? If you're going to destroy them, erase me from your book. Why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu, anav mikol adam asher pnei adama, the most humble man that ever lived. He did not care about himself at all. And if he could die and save the entire nation, he did his job. That was with Maaseh. That's with action. Now let's look at Dibur. Because we said what makes human beings different than animals is speech. When Onkelos translates Ruach Elohim, he translates that as a spirit of speech, which makes what distinguishes human beings from animals the power of speech. Now, I know dolphins communicate, monkeys communicate, dogs communicate. Do dolphins speak Russian and Italian and English and Hebrew and no? They have some type of rudimentary language. Kol hakavod. Nothing as complicated as human language. Russian, 33,000 words. English, something like 30,000 words. Hebrew is a small language. Biblical Hebrew, only about 2,000 or 3,000 words. That's what makes it a holy language, but that's a separate conversation. When it came time to defend the Jewish people, what does Moshe Rabbeinu say?
You ask all the time to mercy for them.
That what he did? He asked for mercy?
Yeah.
First of all, he said, erase me from your book.
Done.
I threw the luchot down to show you I mean business. Erase me from your book. Take me out. Don't touch them. Because God said, I want to make a great nation out of you. Do we see that pattern before in history? Right?
Yes.
And Abraham.
And what did Noach, where Abraham?
With the destruction of the cities, and Abraham said, "Okay, if I find
Sodom
so
and Gomorrah.
you're right."
Okay, but he
So-
negotiated. Wait.
Right.
Noach, God comes to Noach and says, I am going to destroy the entire human race, but I like you. I'm going to keep you around. Build an ark. What does Noach do?
Nothing.
He doesn't do nothing.
I mean, he doesn't-
He builds an ark.
No, but he doesn't defend.
What does it say? Et ha-Elohim hitalech Noach. Noach followed God. God said to build an ark. He built an ark. God said he's going to destroy the world. He's going to destroy the world. God was looking for what he said to Abraham. Hitalech lefanai ve'yetamim. Go before me and be perfect. Which means we're not supposed to just do whatever. We're supposed to do more than we're told to do. That's the concept of the Ramban in Kedoshim to you. What does it mean to be sanctified? Sanctified. The Rashi says over there, separate yourself from arayot, sexual sin, and then you are holy. The Ramban says, no, following the Torah doesn't make you holy. Following the Torah is doing exactly what you're commanded to do. You're a servant of God. What makes a person holy? When they go above and beyond what the Torah asks of them. That's what makes a person kadosh. Restricting yourself from what is permitted to you. That's what makes you kadosh. Why are the ladies kadosh?
Kadosh meaning holy, correct?
Holy. Thank you. Why are the ladies holy? The Gemara asks the question, what's an example of a halakha, a law that is throughout the entire Jewish nation everybody follows?
Great. Yeah.
You would think that would be the example. Brit Milah, Eliyahu Hanavi accused the Jewish people and said they're not following the Brit, so God commanded that he's got to go to every Brit from now until the end of time to show him that he's wrong.
Shabbos?
Nope. If it was Shabbos, Mashiach would be here. What is the example the Talmud brings for a law that is spread out amongst the entire... I gave you the hint, but you missed it. It has to do with the women. The daughters of Israel.
And
Everybody's an adult. They see blood the size of a mustard seed, and they sit for 7 clean days. That is not a Torah requirement. If anybody, I can't go into whole details about the laws of Nidah versus the laws of Zavah, the laws of a menstruating woman versus the laws of women having a bleeding between her cycle. But suffice it to say, that was an example of voluntary sacrifice. Did they ask their husband's permission? No. Why not? She'era kesuta ve'onata lo yikra. A man, when he gets married, has 3 obligations. She'era is sustenance, food. Kesuta, clothing and shelter. Onata is intimacy. Really, you got to command a man to have intimacy? I thought that was like built in. Why is that commanded? Because we're not looking at the mapik hey at the end of the word. She'era, her sustenance. Kesuta, her shelter. Onata, her intimacy. Ooh, it's not about you. So therefore, she doesn't have to ask. That's the holiness of the Jewish women, because they wanted to make sure that the children that were going to be born had souls that were as pure as possible. How does Moshe Rabbeinu defend the Jewish people by his mouth? One second, let me just find it.
He invokes the 13 attributes.
We didn't get to the 13 attributes yet. We're going to get to them, hopefully, if I have a little bit of time. If you give me the time, I know I'm already hours. Sorry about that. One second. I know it's here someplace. I'll do it from memory. ויחל משה את פני אדוני אלוהיו ויאמר למה אדוני יחרה אפך בעמך אשר הוסה את ארץ מצרים בכוח גדול ויד חזקה. Statement number 1, translated. Vayichal Moshe. What is Vayichal Moshe? What does that mean?
Waited.
Doesn't say Vayihake Moshe.
No.
What is Vayihal?
Meaning,
That's usually what people think it is. Vayithal, it should say. Where's the taf? What is Vayihal? What language is Vayihal?
No, he asked.
8.
The language is Chol. The opposite of Kadosh. Holy, profane. Hilul Hashem is a profanation of God's name. Vayihal Moshe. What does this mean? Okay, God. Let me show you how it's done. You can't destroy them. Not just because I broke the Luchot. Let me tell you why. Why are you getting angry with your nation? That's what he says. Yes? If you're God, what answer? Because they just worshipped an idol. Why am I angry? I told them, 49 days ago, don't worship Avodah Zarah. Look what they did. What kind of questions is Moshe Rabbeinu asking? Why are you angry with your people? He knows why he's angry. What is Moshe Rabbeinu really asking? You can't be angry with your people. You know why? It's your fault. Asher hotzeta me'eretz Mitzrayim. You took them out of Egypt. Remember I told you way back when I didn't want to go? I said to pick somebody else. I'm not worthy. You took them out of Egypt. It shouldn't have been me. You should have pointed to somebody else. It's my fault. And it's your fault, but it's not their fault. The next statement is even more powerful. ולמה יאמרו מצרים לאמור ברעה הוציאם להרוג אותם בהרים ולאכל אותם מעל פני האדמה שוב מחרון אפיך ונחם על הרעה לעמך. Now we add something else. If that isn't bad enough, the fact that it's your fault, we got another problem. What are the Egyptians gonna say?
They're dead.
You couldn't bring that on.
They're gonna say, look at the language. Bera'ah hotzi'am. What is bera'ah hotzi'am? With the ayin.
bad, bad. עשה להם רע.
Forgot a pasuk a couple of parashot ago.
הוא עשה להם רע שהוא הוציא אותם.
רגע.
למה
Doesn't avoid the zara.
למה אותה? למה?
No, that's separate. That's another. That's there means bad.
Doesn't avoid the zara.
1 second.
זה מעט מספרים.
1 second. Okay. It's going to be in Parashat Bo. After the Arbeh. The Arbeh all over the place, yes? Just like they were in Mecca a couple of weeks ago in Parashat Bo. What does it say? The locust, yes? What does it say?
For the statement from Paro to
Vayomer alehem, and Paro said to them, Yehi chen Adonai imachem, may God be with you. Ka'asher ashalech atchem ve'tapechem, when I send you and your children out. Re'u, look, ki ra'a neged penechem. My Egyptian experts have told me that the signs say that all I see is blood. If you take them out now, they're going to have blood. What Paro didn't know, it was talking about the blood of the Brit Milah. But now, what does Moshe Rabbeinu say? What are the Egyptians going to say? Remember that you are now God. You're going to prove that their Avodah Zarah is correct. What do we call that? Hilul Hashem. When God gave the Torah to the Jewish people, He bound Himself in the Torah as well, voluntarily. That's why the Gemara says God puts on tefillin. Of course, it's a deeper meaning. It doesn't mean God puts on tefillin. It says that God prays in Masechet Brachot. And the Gemara even talks what's in God's tefillin. That the nation of Israel, the one nation in the world. What does God pray? May it be my will that I overcome my anger. This is what God's prayer is vis-a-vis the Jewish people. Masechet Brachot. Tractate Brachot. You can't kill them. Because what are the Goyim going to say? That's a Chilul Hashem. You can't do that. And then he gives the zinger. What's the zinger? You made a promise. And I know that promises that you make for bad, they don't have to come true. We learn that from Yonah. We learn that from here. God says, I'm going to destroy the Jewish people. But He doesn't destroy the Jewish people. Remember Abraham. Remember Isaac. Remember Israel. You made promises to them, but you didn't keep those promises in their lifetime. You have to keep those promises. So in other words, not only is Moshe Rabbeinu willing to sacrifice himself, look how he's talking to God vis-a-vis the nation of Israel. Because he was willing to sacrifice himself for the people, he got very, very close to God And when he did that, he brought them with him. To the point where God said, okay, I'm not going to kill them, but I really can't hang out with them too much. I need some distance because these guys, they're stubborn, they're stiff-necked, they don't listen. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, if you don't walk with us closely, do not take us away from here. Which means not only was Moshe Rabbeinu looking for forgiveness, he wanted to have the relationship better than it was before they sinned. Why? B'makom sheba'alei teshuva omdim, en tzadikim yecholim la'amod. In a place where the Baal Teshuva stands, righteous people. And plus, Moshe also knew that God didn't help them at all. That's why they sinned. This is how Moshe Rabbeinu defended Am Yisrael. So we see the importance of speech when we're going to approach God. We all make mistakes. There are 3 essential elements to tshuva, repentance. One is vidui, confession. One is harata, regret. And the other one is Kabbalah on yourself not to do it again. And how does one receive upon themselves not to do it again? They must learn Torah. If a person is not learning Torah, what's going to happen? They're going to go right back where they were before. And that's why the Rambam says, what is the characteristic of Baalei Tshuva? What is the characteristic of people who are repentant? First of all, they're humble. Why are they humble? Because they made mistakes in the past. There's nothing to be arrogant about. I messed up. And they're always crying out to God, which means they're always using their mouth and communicating with God to get closer to God. And they're learning, which is also the mouth. This is the 3 concepts of Teshuvah. And I just want to end with the difference between Yom Kippur and Purim. Both Yom Kippur and Purim have an inyan, a detail of the Teshuvah, of repentance. Kippur, I would hope everybody sees that as pretty obvious. You fast, you pray in shul all day long, and you get close to God. Hopefully, real close to God, but not too close. But that's the easy way. Anybody, if they fast and they pray all day long and they cry, this is an easy way to get to God. The monks figured that out. What's the harder way to get to God? Eating and drinking. That is the harder way, because the first one is repentance from awe. I am terrified of what's going to happen to me. So therefore, I have to fix myself. Purim represents Teshuvah from Ahava. I love God. How could I disappoint him? And when a person makes Teshuvah from Ahava, it's a much higher level. And you can eat, and you can drink, and be sameach. And what gives the simcha of Purim? The alcohol? What gives the simcha of Purim? First of all, fixing relationships. Relationships between the rich and the poor. Matanat le'evyonim, gifts for the poor. Relationships between human beings. Mishloach manot isha re'ehu. And fixing the relationship with God. Mikra Megillah, which is Limud Torah, and eating and drinking. And because the person is getting close to God, that's where the simcha comes from. Bezat Hashem, Purim is a month away. I wish all of you to have a Mishinichnas Adar Marbim Besimcha. We have 2 months of Simcha this year because we have 2 Adar. And Bezat Hashem, you should have a Purim Sameach. And we should all get closer to God, make Teshuvah. And maybe the Bet HaMikdash will be built. B'Mra B'Yameinu. Amen. Amen.